I am talking to somebody in another country, listening to them in earphones that aren't connected by wires to anything, with data that is being streamed via satellites across the world. That is magic, and we take that for granted.
With 2 decades of startup experience, what has been the biggest lesson learned?
Startups are hard. That is one of the biggest lessons. And I think at an enterprise level, it's always easy to look at the startups and think that they're amazing and it's fun and it's brilliant. But the truth is they're hard and they're always on, and they take a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it involves a lot of failure and a lot of resilience and agility. So that's more than one lesson, but there are lots of lessons when you build startups for a life.
How do creativity and innovation lead to business success?
So there's lots of research in this world of creativity, curiosity, and innovation. And my focus is on helping companies understand that innovation isn't an action. It's not a verb. Innovation is a noun. And it's the creativity and curiosity that is the journey, that is the process that leads to more innovative outcomes. And that's kind of how things all tie together. Is the more freedom you give your team to experiment and be creative, the more solution oriented they become, and the more long-term they begin to think. And that is basically how the idea of curiosity and creativity leads to this innovative outcome and long-term profit for a business.
How can businesses create a culture of ideas sharing in a team lacking confidence?
So teams that lack confidence generally aren't empowered to have ownership over the results of their work. So one of the key things in my work and the research that I do is helping teams remove their egos, because ego is a very negative driver of innovation. Remove egos and collaborate. There is something called an intersubjective truth. It's a truth that is shared by a variety of people in the pursuit of something different and interesting. And teams need to create this intersubjective truth that everybody can get behind. And ways that that's happening right now is in this new wave of purpose-driven companies. If you have a unique purpose that people can rally behind, then they share a narrative and a lexicon that they can then build towards. And that's kind of how you remove that lack of confidence and allow people to collaborate together, is create a shared intersubjective truth.
So what are your top tips for businesses stuck in a rut?
My top tips for businesses stuck in a rut is to do what you do really well and allow the best people for a certain job to do what they do really well. Empower them to come up with creative solutions and don't let them fear the risk of failure leading to them being fired. And this is a big driver for businesses and not having new and interesting ideas, is that the people with the interesting ideas, the people at the coalface talking to customers and building the products, are the ones that have the ideas but are too scared to bring them up in case their ideas fail and they get fired. So you have to remove that fear and frustration. You have to remove, as I've mentioned before, the ego attached to all of these things so the teams can collaborate effectively and look for the best solution, not the best person with the best solution.
You talk on the unexpected magic of the mundane. How do you define magic in a corporate landscape?
So the example that always comes to mind when I talk about the magic of the mundane is how quickly innovative new products become mundane. And the example I'll use as I'm sitting here right now is I am talking to somebody in another country, listening to them in earphones that aren't connected by wires to anything, with data that is being streamed via satellites across the world. That is magic. And we take that for granted. At a corporate or enterprise level, magic can be anything as simple as making something more efficient or introducing an entirely new way of doing something. And most of the time, magic in a corporate world is just a shift in perspective, a way to see things that you haven't seen before, that were there all along, but you just didn't look at them in a certain way.